مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا.
I recited ayah from Surah Al-Fath, which is 48th chapter of the Quran, verse number 18. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ radiallahu, and indeed Allah is radi with them, anil mu'mineen, from those mu'mineen, is yubayi'unaka tahta ash-shajara, those who took the covenant and bay'ah under the tree. فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ, so Allah knows what was in their hearts. فَأَنزَلَ سَكِينَةً عَلَيْهِمْ, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descend upon them sakina, a situation where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the peace and tranquility upon them. فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ, and Allah knows what was in their heart. عَلَيْهِمْ وَعَصَابَهُمْ فَتْحًا قَرِيبًا, and then for them there's a promise of a victory in the near future. And the second ayah from Surah Az-Zumr, that first ayah was about the Bayt al-Ridwan, the treaty of Ridwan. This is the ayah which mentioned why it is called Bayt al-Ridwan. The bay'ah companions took on the hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. As one hand he put out as the hand of Usman, and then he took the bay'ah on the hand of Usman, and he put this hand above, and he says, Yadullah fawqa aydihim, Allah's hand was above them. And these were the 15 or 1400 companions who took this covenant that they will not return to Medina unless they took the revenge of the news which came that Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu was martyred by Mecca. It is about 6 years Muslims have not visited to Mecca, and Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam decided to take companions to the Mecca for the Umrah, and they were told that they are not allowed and welcome to come to Mecca, and the leaders of the Quraysh, they wanted to stop them. So Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam sent many of the envoys or ambassadors to negotiate and communicate, and then one of them was Urwa ibn Mas'ud, and he said, you people will not win against Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he said, I've visited the people of kings of different emperors of different nations, and they have been respected and loved by their own people, but nobody comes close to what I see people do, the respect and honor to Muhammad, son of Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Said when he spit, they will take the spit of Rasulullah and rub on their faces and their body. If we make wudu, the water of the wudu is being not let it touch the ground. Each one of them tried to touch it and rub it to himself for the mercy and the blessing of Allah. He said, I've seen emperors, they were respected out of fear, not out of love. And the love I've seen of companions of Rasulullah is not seen anywhere. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he finally could not get anybody to communicate, he sent Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. Usman radiallahu ta'ala, when he went, and they offered him to make the Umrah, he said, I'm not going to make Umrah without my Rasulullah. If we had the opportunity to make Umrah today, each one of us will say it's a bigger blessing than being with the Rasulullah. Usman says no. So they kept him, because he was such a person, nobody had anything against him in relation of his and his property in Mecca and everything. He has such a businessman. So today's topic is about Usman radiallahu anhu, who was martyred about the 35th year of Hijrah, when he was Khalifa for about 11 years. In his own house, he was arrested and he was housebound or put in house arrest for 40 days. They were not allowing him to drink water or get the food or any services to be provided. And that's when, after 40 days, they jumped in his house on 18th of Zulhijjah, according to the common information of most of the scholars and historians. It was the 18th of Zulhijjah in the 35th year of Hijrah. He was the Amir al-Mu'mineen, whose power and rule was stretched all the way from Chechnya and Turkish China to Turkmenistan to Afghanistan to the Central Asia, the Africa, the Central Deep Africa to the North Africa, and all these places, Azerbaijan and Tajikistan, all these countries were under the rule of this mighty ruler. And he was asked that should we take care of these rebellious, about 2,000 or so people have come to Medina to stop him from his rule. And he says, I do not want anybody's blood to be shed on my behalf. And this is how innocent and what you call the mazloom, shaheed mazloom. This was the man who was martyred. and accordingly what he was and what his status is. So this bay'ah was taken, the honor of Usman radiallahu anhu. Just imagine, no companion had this honor. He was known as zulnoorain. Zulnoorain means the possessor of the two nur, which were Ruqayya and Kulthum radiallahu anha. He was married to them, and he's also known as Zul Muhajir. He made two hijrah, Zul Hijratain. He made two hijrah, once to Abyssinia and second to Medina. And third one, he is also Zul Jannatain. He purchased Jannah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the world twice from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No human had an honor from Adam alayhi salam till the day of judgment who would be married to the two blessed daughter of a prophet, and he was the honor who was married and first wife Ruqayya radiallahu anha. The day she passed away, Rasulullah was going to Badr, and he told Usman radiallahu ta'ala, you stay with your wife, take care of Ruqayya. The daughter of Rasulullah is in the house of Usman radiallahu anhu, and she died the day when they had the victory news came in, and he was grieved and sorrowed. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Usman, you are among the people of Badr, even though he was with his daughter. This is the honor of the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Out of 4 daughters, 2 were married, and then he remarried the next daughter, the number 3 daughter. The first was Zainab radiallahu anha, who was married to Abu al-As radiallahu anhu, who became later Muslim after Badr. And then second daughter was married, Ruqayya radiallahu anha, to Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, and she migrated with him to Abyssinia, and they stayed there for some time, and then he came back with her, and they had a child. His name was Abdullah. He was also to be known as Abu Abdullah, but his name Zulnoorain was more popular because he possessed the 2 daughters of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Ruqayya radiallahu anha passed away, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam so much saw grief in him, he said, I will give you my next daughter, and he married Kulthum radiallahu anha with him. And in the 9th year of Hijrah, she passed away also, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, because he was so grieved that I have a personal relation, I was the son-in-law of Rasulullah twice, and Rasulullah said, with looking at you, Usman, if I had 100 daughters and had they passed away one after another, I would have married each one of them with you. This was the place. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that his name Zunnurain, on the 4th heaven, angels call Usman as Zunnurain. He was a man of haya, the modesty, that whenever Rasulullah was sitting comfortably with his legs or the thighs were exposed, anytime Usman would walk to visit Rasulullah, he would sit up and properly cover himself. His wife Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said, Ya Rasulullah, why you are so much uncomfortable with Usman coming? He said, angels have haya from him. Angels do haya with him, and I think that I should be also respecting for the kind of modesty he have. People, when they take bath in the bathroom privately, one can undress himself completely, but Usman would not do that. He will still keep his private to be covered. So this was the modesty of this man, who was a hafiz of Quran. He was such a faqih that he made fiqh. One of his generals, when he conquered Persia, certain parts of the Persia, which is the Afghanistan and the north to the Uzbekistan and Tajikistan area, he made oath to himself that I am going to wear ihram from here till I do the umrah, and I will not take my ihram off. So when he came back and did the umrah and met Usman radiallahu anhu, and he was the Amir al-Mu'mineen, Usman looked at him, he said, why you are wearing ihram like that? He said, I have taken oath to myself that I will not come out of ihram till I do my umrah. He said, Islam does not require you to put yourself in hardship. His goal was to make the prosperity among Muslims, and in his time, all the people who were getting the stipends from the state, Darul Mal, was doubled. Everybody was getting more return, and he would spend, and he established government in such a way that it was unprecedented. He would not take anything for himself, but he would provide all the Muslims. And he was one of the Amir al-Mu'mineen who never took a pension or salary from the government's money. He was independently such a wealthy man that when we talk about so many things on this Surah Zul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمَّنْ هُوَ قَانِتٌ عَلَىٰ اللَّيْلِ سَاجِدًا وَقَائِمًا يَحْذَرُ الْآخِرَةَ وَيَرْجُو رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ. And he is the one who stands in the night with the fear of Allah and observing the prayer. His wife tells about Usman radiallahu anhu that he would spend all night standing and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he would be fasting in the day, and he is seeking of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and say, "O beloved, the one who is aware, who has a knowledge, and the one who has no knowledge cannot be equal. إِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ." Indeed, people of wisdom, the one who remembers and reflect upon. There are so many things to talk about, the time is always not enough. We all have to read about the life of Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. We talk about so many things, about all the things, but he is one of the men who had done so much for Islam and so much for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. His love was unprecedented. During the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was appointed to be Khalifa of Rasulullah in the Medina when he went for the Ghazwa Zatul Riqa wa Ghatfan. Twice Rasulullah told him, "You stay in the state of Khalifa, running the government in my absence." Once he did with Ali radiallahu anhu, and here Usman radiallahu anhu has twice was the Khalifa. So everywhere he went, he had twice the honor of doing things. It was his honor and dignity of his place. His relation to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam personally was that his grandmother was the sister, twin sister of Abdullah radiallahu anhu, the father of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a nephew in that relation. His mother was a cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So his mother's name was Urwa bint Quraysh bin Rabia bin Habib bin Abd Shams, and his grandmother, her name was Hakeem al-Bayda bint Abdul Muttalib bin Hashim. So this is how he was in relation. And he was born about 6th year of elephant, means 6 years younger than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some record says he was about 27 when he embraced Islam. Some record says he was 34 or 37. So it was not a very accurate time reported, but this has been narrated about him. And he was about 37 years age when he emigrated to Medina, and when he was murdered, he took the shahadah. It was about 82 years age, and he was the man who managed the government so efficiently that it was unprecedented. But many of the new converts and Muslims were raised and brought into some kind of a negative report about him, that he is more generous to Banu Umayyah, that was people of his tribe. And he was questioned, "Why you do so?" He said, "Because they are capable of administering better." And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, younger people should be allowed to take part in activity. So it was always been the tradition that the younger people were encouraged. Today, when we see an 18-year-old, we call him a baby. Muhammad bin Qasim was 17-year-old when he first conquered India. The Muslims were encouraged. Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu, he was about 17, 18-year-old when he was asked by Rasulullah to go and fight against the Roman emperor, and people questioned that he is a son of a freed slave, Osama bin Zayd. And even Umar and Osman radiallahu anhu and Ali radiallahu tala anhu, these were Kabirin Sahaba, they were there and they were fighting under him. So people, when they objected, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he became Khalifa, when he heard these rumors that Osama, being a young man, being made the general of the army, what he did after Rasulullah had passed away, he told Osama, "Ride over the horse, get on the horseback, on the saddle," and he held the rein of the horse and he walked him. When he walked him, the people could see that the Amir al-Mu'mineen is affirming what Rasulullah had commanded. And Umar radiallahu anhu was working and fighting under him as one of the subordinate to him. So in certain issues, we have to understand age is not the factor. Osama ibn Zayd radiallahu anhu was a young man, and his features were more of a darker complexion and curly hair with the African heritage appearance. But he was made sit above the rule of all the Quraysh chiefs. So in Islam, the race is not the object. He was most knowledgeable about the Quran, and Osama ibn Zayd, and he came victorious from that war. So this is how it is described. So Usman radiallahu ta'ala, physically it's been described that he was a very handsome looking man, one of the very handsome looking man. He was a medium height person with a longer arm and hairy body and hairy hands and very curly hairy beard and hair, and he used to apply a orange or yellow color henna to his beard, and he had, in childhood he had a smallpox, so he had some smallpox marks on his hair, and this has been described. He would keep his hair longer and curl over behind the ears, and it would be coming like in the what we call the patte bal jisko kehte hain. That's the kind of thing. He would have longer hair, and this is one of the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to keep it. So there are so many things about him to mention. When they arrived to Medina and Muslims were having difficult time with the water, and they learned about it that there was a man who owned, a Jewish man owned the beer. Beer in Arabic means well, water well. Ruma was the name of the location. So Muslims, when they would go, and he would take one mud. That was very high price in those to get a water, and not Muslims can afford. So Rasulullah ﷺ said, whoever can get this water well for Muslims, Allah promised Jannah for that. So Nabi Usman radiallahu went to him and he negotiated the deal. This is the business trick. He went to him and he said, I want to buy this well from you. So he made such a high 6,000 or 7,000 those time currency, golden pieces. So Usman radiallahu said, why don't we do the deal? Make it 50-50. Because he was interested in that, because he thought if I sell him, then nobody will buy the water and I will be losing. So he made a 35,000 dinar of that time. So Usman radiallahu agreed. They bought the half of the beer. What was the half of the well? Means one day Usman will sell the water. He didn't sell them there. I'm going to give my people free water. He said, I want to buy it. I want to do business. So he thought, okay, one day Usman will send, one day I will sell. So what was Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, when he purchased the deal, 35,000 dinar or dirham, he bought it. So he came to Rasulullah, he said, Ya Rasulullah, Muslim can go get the water now. See, the people who were bought water for him in his own city, he was not allowed water for 1 week. His house was surrounded for 40 days. And there was not allowing him to get water. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu once forced his kids to get the water for him, and they would throw the spear and break the water skin. And then al-Mu'mineen, Habiba radiallahu anha, she threatened them. She said, if you will not allow water with me, I'm going to uncover my hair. At that time they realized this is a serious matter, and they allowed her to bring water, but that was something to last for only a week. And this is how they treated him. The man who brought water for the entire ummah was not allowed water. So what happened after what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he came to him, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I have bought this well, and now Muslim can take water for free. He could have sold it, but he didn't sell any penny worth of water. This is his contribution to the Muslim ummah. So he told Muslim, Rasulullah and him, they said, go and get 2 days water collection, because next day is the turn of that owner, the other one. So he thought, I will sell water to them. And when the next day came in, nobody bought it. The third day came in, then Muslim came in and got over free water. So this is how he served ummah. Then, after some time, he realized it's not any more profitable business. So he said, okay, I want to get out of this business. You want to buy the whole well? Now he negotiated the price down further. He said, now you don't want to. Before he was doubling, tripling, quadrupling the price. Now he sold at a very little price. And he told everybody, don't go and talk to him. I'm going to negotiate. Business transaction. Muslims are smart, and they should do the business transaction intelligently, not cheating, properly. So there are so much to talk about, and so much in Jaysh al-Usra. Jaysh al-Usra was the most, Usra means hardship, the army of the hardship. When the Tabuk, when Muslims came to know that the Roman emperor, the Christian Arabs, invited the Roman emperor to invade Muslim, because this is the year of a water shortage and famine among Muslims. And if you attack Muslim, and this man, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, having a lot of people coming to him, you can just annihilate them by attacking. So when Rasulullah heard it, he prepared the people, he invited all the people in the surrounding villages, get ready for the jihad. But at that time, money was needed. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam sat out and on the member of Masjid al-Nabawi, and he asked, who is going to give the donation for the war? Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. We know about Abu Bakr brought everything, Umar brought half of whatever he has wealth. But Usman's story is so unusual. So he had a caravan of 200 camel loaded with the water and other supplies going to Sham or Syria at that time. He said, Ya Rasulullah, 200 camel with the 1,000 pieces of gold, I will donate. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked again. He goes, 200 horses and the gold again. And then he keep adding up to the point he donated 950 to 1,000 camel accordingly, loaded with the supplies and everything for the help of the Muslim army. And then he asked that, Ya Rasulullah, I will bring 1,000 pieces of gold and currency. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam was sitting and he put it on his lap. So Rasulullah described in the hadith is used to pick up those gold pieces with one hand and drop on the other, and says, today Usman can ask anything and do anything, and he will not be accountable for. This was the promise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One man had an orchard, and this same man, Biruma guy, this man, he owned a garden next to it. So Rasulullah said, I don't want this person to hold the property in this area. So he went and negotiated with him when he was buying this well. He said, I'm going to buy the well now. When you sell the garden also, the orchard was also in the price. So he tried to get him out, and Muslim have that, and that thing was the place where Rasulullah ﷺ provided Muslim with the water and the place and residence. And he, Usman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, when the bay'ah was taken, Bayt al-Ridwan, nobody had this honor in the history of humanity, where one hand of Rasulullah is pretending to be the Usman's hand. Some people say, if Prophet took the bay'ah that Usman is being assassinated or killed, why he took the bay'ah? Because Prophet does not know the knowledge of ghaib. People are, sick their mind. They do not understand the Prophet's knowledge and the ilm al-ghaib. Did ever anybody took a bay'ah of a dead person? You don't take bay'ah on the hand of a dead person. When Rasulullah is giving his hand, this is the hand of Usman. He knew it, but he wanted to take the allegiance of the Muslims to assure the presence of Usman. But we will not return without taking Usman. So they took the bay'ah. Rasulullah put one hand and he says, take the bay'ah on the hand of Usman, and yadullahi fawqa aydihim. Allah's hand is upon the hand of Usman and all of the companions. Radiallahu anhu. Ridwan comes from the rada. Allah's rada was with them. Allah knew what was in their heart, the purity of their heart. And this is why it is known as Bayt al-Ridwan, where Allah was radi with them. And this is where people do not understand. The Prophet does things to teach us. But some ignorant idiots want to pretend that the Prophet did not have the knowledge of unseen, of the ghaib, because they have the knowledge, right? They have the knowledge that the Prophet did not have the knowledge. They are the Nabi then. We should believe in them. They have the ilm al-ghaib. Rasulullah did not have the ilm al-ghaib. He had the ghaib, ilm, by Allah's will. Allah gave him the knowledge. He did not have personal knowledge. Allah is Malikul Mulk. Allah is the possessor of it, and Muhammad was given that. وَعَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنْ تَعْلَمُ. This is something which people bring up these kind of a question to people who do not know, and they make them feel overwhelmed that these, oh yes. So these are the many details are here. Time is limited as always. And during his rule, he established police department. He established different area of rest. He established the rest area and food services to the Muslim whenever they travel. He made the situation and places so comfortable. He made with his personal money extension of the Masjid al-Nabawi. He stood on the minbar. He was not a man of too many words. He would stand on the minbar. He said, it has been agreed that is in need of Masjid al-Nabawi to be expanded because there are too many people coming in the masjid, and masjid will be repaired and will be demolished. The original was brought down and the new was construction and expansion was made. And he extended Kaaba from his money. He made extension of the Kaaba. And then he also made other situations develop. And there was many other things I don't have time to go over, because then somebody will stand up and say it's 1:40. So then I should stop right now before somebody interrupts. Let's do this Jummah Salat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.